I bow to all the seekers of truth. At the very outset, I have to say that truth is what it is. We cannot organize it. We cannot conceptualize it. Also, unfortunately, we cannot know the absolute truth at this human awareness. We have to become a subtler being to know the truth. Now, whatever I am telling you today here has to be understood with an open mind of a scientist. If it is a hypothesis I am putting before you, you have to see for yourself if it works. Then as honest people, you must admit, because this is for everybody's emancipation and the emancipation of the whole world. We have seen there are problems in every place, in every country, in every nation. Problems of different natures are there. But if you go to the roots of it, you'll find out that it's human beings who have created these problems. And these problems exist because we are in ignorance. We are sitting in darkness and we do not know how we are related to each other. We talk of collectivity, we talk of peace, we talk of love, but still we are separated from each other. And it's like a drop away from the ocean, talking about the ocean. In every scripture, whether it is Christian, Hindu, Muslim, is Tao or Zen, any one of these philosophies of Buddha or of Mahavira, it is said that to understand the divine, you have to become a self-realized person, or as we say, a second birth has to happen within us. How is it? All of them said one simple thing, that you have to have your second birth. But that does not mean that you can just have a certificate saying, I'm this, I'm that. Because we are not. We do not practice what we are talking about. There's a disparity. And the reason is that we have not achieved that second birth. Otherwise, automatically, you start practicing what you preach. For example, anybody who is a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh or anything can commit any sin whatsoever. Though he may go to temple, may go to mosque, may go to church. So there is something lacking in us, some sort of a incapability within us that we cannot do what we want to do. I have known many people who were alcoholics, who were drug addicts, who came to Sahaja Yoga. And they said that, Mother, it's impossible, we cannot give up, we haven't got strength. We are so much against it, we don't want it, but we just can't do it. So helpless. And yesterday only there was a lady, an actress who came to me, poor thing, she just asked me one thing, Mother, please relieve me from this alcoholism. I'm a terrible alcoholic and my life is now about to finish. Now you give them lectures, you tell them something, it won't work out. Through your mental efforts, nothing is going to work out. So there is something higher that has to happen to us, that you become capable of enjoying that value system which you regard as something great. That those great prophets and incarnations have talked about. What is that missing point is very simple, that in our evolutionary process we have become human beings. But we have not yet known the absolute truth and the absolute knowledge. And that's why all these problems are there. Once you become the truth, it starts acting on your central nervous system. And this is what is being born again. He has already told you about this whole system which works it out. It is within us, built in. Our Creator is the greatest planner you could think of. He has kept these two things, like your past and your future, on both the sides. And the middle path is kept open, about which Buddha has spoken, so that you can ascend easily and achieve your self-realization. In India, there was a tradition that only one teacher had only one disciple. It was not allowed to have any more disciples because they thought it is impossible. Then in the 12th century, there was a great poet born called as Gyaneshwara, who wrote in a vernacular language. Of course, in Sanskrit language, there are so many books written very much about Kundalini awakening, about Kundalini and all the processes. But Sanskrit being such a difficult language, the general public did not know about it. And those who were in charge of religion, we can call, or the ones who knew Sanskrit, didn't know how to do it. But he took permission from his teacher, who was his brother, that he should allow him to talk about this inner power, about divinity, openly to people. He said, all right, you can write it. So he wrote in his beautiful book called Gyaneshwari, in the 6th chapter, about this Kundalini. But still people said, no, this chapter is to be closed down. This is not for us. Now only it has become possible to talk about it and to awaken the Kundalini of people en masse. Masses and multitudes can get realization. Of course, all these incarnations and all these prophets have worked for it. And they have brought us to this level that now we can get this experience of self-realization. Now I have to tell you that it's a living process of a living energy, and you cannot pay for it. For example, if you sow a seed in the Mother Earth, it sprouts by itself. You do not have to pay money to the Mother Earth. She doesn't understand. We understand that she doesn't know money. In the same way, this living force that is within you is your own, within yourself. We say as the Kundalini because it has got coils, is the mother, the primordial mother. We can call her the Holy Ghost, reflected within you. And for her awakening, or for any such work which has to do with divinity, you cannot pay. You cannot also put in much effort, because to become human beings we have put in not much effort. In the same way, it happens so spontaneously that you don't have to worry about it. But as a result of that, what happens to you is that you feel for the first time the truth that there is an all-pervading power of divine love. start feeling a cool breeze in your hands. And a cool breeze of the Holy Ghost also comes out of your head and you can feel it. And for the first time, you know that there is some subtler energy beyond what we know of. And this energy is the energy that does all the living work. This divine love is the energy which thinks, understands, organizes. Above all, it loves. We never even think that how these beautiful flowers have come out of one seed. We never even bother to know how we are made so beautifully, how our eyes are made so beautiful, such a beautiful camera. We do not try to understand because we take it for granted. It's a living process, and living process we do not want to get into. But these are special times when we are born. Modern times, as you say, are also described in all the books to be the ones where we'll be quite in illusions and we'll be quite disturbed by the different ideologies that will be bombarding us. But in those times only, the seekers will be born. And these seekers of truth will get their self-realization. Even William Blake has said that God of men of God will be born on this earth. And they will seek God. Not only that, but they will give godliness to others. So such a time has arrived for us to receive your self-realization, your self-knowledge, by which you know about yourself, about your centers, and also you know what's wrong with others. Because a new awareness is manifested in your central nervous system. You can feel the centers of your own being, and you can feel the centers of other people very clearly. On your fingertips as shown there, and if you know how to correct those centers, you can get rid of all the problems created by these centers, and they are the ones. When they go out of order or imbalances, you get your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual problems. So when this Kundalini rises, she pierces through like a thread into pearls and integrates all these centers, and then ultimately she breaks through the fontanelle bone area, which was a soft bone in your childhood, giving you the actualization, again I say, of baptism. It's described in all the religions. Now, on Easter, we give eggs to people. What is the significance of we are giving eggs to people? Because Christ came on this earth with a purpose, and his purpose that he should establish our resurrection. That he resurrected himself. He is placed on the center here, you see. Like this is the center, is optic chiasma. And that's why, because he was on the center which looks after our eyes, he has said it. Thou shalt not have adulterous eyes. Why did he talk of eyes so much? Because he was placed on the optic chiasma. And when the Kundalini passes through, and he is awakened within us, then he sucks in these two institutions there, left and right, which we call as ego and superego, where your karmas are there, your conditionings are there, all are sucked in. And then the area which we call as limbic area opens out like this, and through that the Kundalini passes, and you get your self-realization. But while it's traveling through these centers, not only that it brings those centers to their proper position. Like if there is one center on the left and one center on the right. Now if you start using too much, then what happens that the center becomes very constricted, or the energy becomes exhausted. And sometimes any shock can just break them. And when they are broken, you develop diseases which we call as psychosomatic, like cancer and others, which are incurable. But this Kundalini is very wise. She passes through one and then to another, brings them together, nourishes them, and then she goes ahead to integrate all of them. Not only that, but it is connected with that all-pervading power. Once this connection is established fully, it starts flowing. The energy starts flowing through you, and you are never tired. You become extremely dynamic, at the same time extremely compassionate, because this energy is the source of compassion, love, and bliss. This is what is waiting for us. So the first truth is, the fundamental truth is, that you are not this body, or this mind, or these conditionings or ego, but you are the pure spirit. And the second one is that there is this all-pervading power, which we have to feel in our central nervous system, so that we can definitely help ourselves and help others. Thus we get our transformation. And this transformation is going to transform the whole world, because then you find your peace within yourself. Then you find your witness state, and you are above all the turmoils of the world, and you can see them very clearly, because if you are in the water, you are afraid of the waves. But if you are in a boat, you can see all those waves nicely. Apart from that, supposing you learn swimming, you can jump down and save so many of them who are getting drowned and who are afraid of these waves. So it's a very, very spontaneous, collective working. From one person to another, and from one to thousands, you can get them self-realization, because you get the power to give realizations to others and to soothe them, to comfort them. You also get all the power, because you are completely counselled, all the knowledge. You know everything about it. You know how it works. There is complete, open knowledge of the modus operandi of everything Sahaja Yoga is doing. Anybody who is a Sahaja Yogi, which is the third stage as I call it, can tell you about Sahaja Yoga, can explain to you, can work it out. The first stage is where the Kundalini rises above this center, which I told you as the optic chiasma. Then you become thoughtlessly aware. You are neither in the past or in the future. You are in the present. There are no thoughts. You become thoughtlessly aware. But when this Kundalini passes through this center and your connections are established, then you become doubtlessly aware. This doubtless awareness is a state where you start understanding Sahaja Yoga and also the manifestation of your own being. You start understanding yourself and understanding others without any doubts. Then the third stage is where you practice it, you give it to others, you make them self-realized people, then you become a perfect Sahaja Yogi. They are very humble, angelic people. My husband always says that, see, you have got all the angels of the world, and this in United Nations, I don't know what sort of people have come, because they are supposed to be in the United Nations, but I don't know when will they be united. It's such a difficult thing to deal with them. So, this has to happen, is already predicted. And if this does not happen, then this creation will be finished. But our Creator has become so anxious that such a thing should happen, that this all-pervading power itself has become extremely dynamic. And that's how I'm taking full advantage of it. And I hope you all will take advantage of it and achieve that for which you are born as human beings, the last breakthrough of your evolution. In such a small time, I'm sorry I won't be able to elaborately tell you all about it. But I think in English language only I must have had at least 3,000 to 4,000 lectures. And there are other languages also I speak. So I would request you not to worry about the knowledge part. See, now there are beautiful lights here. When you come, you have to just switch on one switch and all of them can come. But supposing I start telling you about the electricity or the invention of electricity and how it came and how it was brought in Newcastle, you'll be all bored stiff. So the best thing is to first get the light, and in that light to understand, because it's a subtle subject and easily, very easily understood when you have your spirit. You want me to ask questions? I don't know, we have had so far a tradition that you can ask me questions. And if you think proper, we can ask me questions. Now I must tell you that I have been doing this work for the last 20 years, and I have traveled at least 45 nations. And there are Sahaja-yogis in about 55 nations, that's what they tell me. So I am quite deft at answering all your questions. I mean, I know what sort of questions human beings ask. But only thing I have to tell you that I have not come here to take anything from you, nor am I here to order you for anything. I respect your freedom. Those who want to have self-realization, only they can get their realization. We are not going to force on you. It cannot be forced. It is like this. It has to be asked in your liberty, in your freedom. So the question should be relevant with our subject and should not be aggressive to waste our time. I would request all of you, I'm so happy to see so many seekers in this beautiful town. I wish they were the same in Newcastle in England. I don't think there are so many there. But one thing about English I've seen, they're hard nuts to crack. But there's something good about them is that once they get it, nothing like English, because they settle down with it, and there's scholarship, such a lot of scholarship. They settle down with it, and today we have in foundation of Sahaja Yoga 7 hippies who came to Sahaja Yoga in England, who were very well educated. They were doctors and philosophers and professors and all that. But they had taken to hippie style of life, I don't know why. And they told me it was for seeking. And now they are very great Sahaja Yogis, and one of the doctors I know of who is in charge of 7 psychiatry hospitals who were suffering from drug addiction and also alcoholism. We have here another doctor who is a Russian, but who has been in Australia all his life. Then he came to London, and now he's working in Russia for the Russian people, because we have found Russians to be very sensitive to spirituality. They have no conditionings. They are very clean, and they are so sensitive that they have thrown away all the false gurus and all the false things from their country. And just they are now in Sahaja Yoga, and thousands. We have to always use a big stadium for them. Still the people are sitting on the ground. 16,000 people minimum are to be accommodated. So you can imagine what a tremendous country that is. And why not we also open our hearts and see for ourselves whatever is good for us and for our children, because it does so many things for the whole family, for the whole nation, for the whole world. So we all should be a part and parcel of that. May God bless you.
Any questions? No questions?
That's Newcastle. Wonderful people. I've never met such people before, I tell you. Beautiful. There's one lady is asking a question there.
Why are there so many different styles of yoga, kinds of yoga?
Yeah,
and what is the difference?
Very good idea. Very good question also. See, the yoga system was established by a great scholar called as Patanjali. And he had written a book which is as thick as this much. This book, Patanjali's book, has described 8 types of things that are to be done. Ashtangas. 8-fold we can say. Among them, one of them, of course, was Yamaniyama, means the rules and regulations, and also a very wee part of it was the exercises. But these were all different steps. Then there is another one he has clearly described, the Raj Yoga. In Raj Yoga, he has described that when the Kundalini rises, then just like I would say a modern simile I'll give you, like a car when it starts, all the machinery starts working by itself. In the same manner, when this Kundalini rises, all the machinery within starts working. Like one center opens out and another center is closed. The one which is open pushes the Kundalini upward and closes down, and the upper center then opens. This is simply what we call is Raj Yoga. And when it passes through this center, then you get a kind of a suction by the Kundalini, because she wants to be retained at this point so she doesn't fall down. This energy, whatever small energy is coming up. So there's an augmentation, means a contraction there. This is called as Khechari. Is all described in a way that when all these things happen within ourselves, they are spontaneous. But you see, these are half-baked people. They said, first of all, I will be surprised that I've seen this one association of some Yogananda or something. In the beginning of it, they made the people cut the thread of their tongues and push it back to get the khechari. It is like something like your car which is not yet ignited to move the wheel. Something like that. It's all artificial. And also the physical exercises were taken from, the physical exercises that are done these days are not from Patanjali. They are their own made, you see, American, then there's English, then everybody has added to it. But these physical exercises also are suggested there for this Kundalini rising. Because supposing there's some problem on your spinal cord, then we also tell you to do a certain type of exercise, certain type. But it is like taking medicine of every kind without discretion from the medicine box. So this is also absolutely wrong, because there is no need to do any exercises in Sahaja Yoga. But later on, when the Kundalini moves and we find out that somebody has a spinal cord problem because somebody has an accident or something, then we might tell him to do an exercise, a particular one, that's all. Once he's corrected, it's finished. You see, it is more sort of a money-making proposition of these people that they started taking one strand from here and one strand from there and created so many yogas. So all these yogas that they talk of. Now recently I've heard of other yogas, like, I must warn you because I'm not afraid of them. One minute, TM. I must tell you about TM. These TM people, first of all, in England, came to me when there was the director of the chief man of their flying academy. His name was Mr. Peter Pierce, and he was from South Africa, a diamond merchant. And his wife was the granddaughter of a duke. And her daughter and her daughter and also their deputy director, all of them came to me suffering from horrible epilepsy. They were falling on the street. And this lady used to go into screams for 3 hours. And they told us that now they have become completely bankrupt. But they told me all about it, and he is also writing a book about it. Imagine, these people charge £300 for giving a mantra. Now if there are Indians, they will understand and laugh at it because it's absurd. But they were kept as big secrets. The 3 mantras were Inga, Pinga, Tinga. Now Inga means, they're already started now. Inga means a scorpion bite. That's also in our Sanskrit. Pinga means when a person gets possessed and goes round and round. And Tinga means showing like this. They paid £300, all of them, headlong into it. Then, second thing they did was to charge them £6,000. They had to go to Switzerland in some remote hotel and sit on some cushions and jump for flying in the air. I mean, imagine also, can't understand why do you want to fly in the air about 3 feet? Imagine. Already we had problem with our traffic here. But if you ask for such stupid things, they know how stupid you are. They want to charge you. £6,000 were charged. And they were told that you will be flying about 3 feet higher than the ground. They broke all their bottoms. Now, there are so many cases against this man now in America. So many cases. Then they gave them the water which has boiled the potatoes for 6 days. And the 7th day, they gave them the rind of the potato. And the 8th day, the potatoes. That's the end of the £6,000, where thousands of them were there. There's one lady who's a barrister who went there. Her sister became mad because they also mesmerized her. She became mad. She went into lunatic asylum. Now both of them have come to Sahaja Yoga and they are all right. They are all marketing, and now they are marketing Ayurveda. What is there for them to market? Anybody can get Ayurvedic medicines, Moreover, Ayurveda is not possible in these countries because they are done with the fresh leaves. And you can't get those fresh leaves as we can get in our country, but still you can make them into something and can be sold. But for that you don't need a guru. You need a doctor. So all such things are there. Now recently I've read a horrible article about this Guru Mai's father, who was actually her guru. Horrible, that if you read that article you will really feel like vomiting. He used to use 13-year-old girls for abuse. It's given in American papers so clearly. But still people are paying. The other day we had 5 ladies from this Guru Mai who were, just they came before me and their whole stomach started getting nervous, everything getting nervous. We had to work so hard on them. They had already paid $400 for intensive and $100 for a shawl, which was meditation shawl. Can you imagine? And get what? This kind of a nervousness in the stomach. I have to tell you this very frankly, because this is going on and on and on. One after another they'll come. You should not at all trust anyone who takes money from you to begin with. Secondly, you must see the disciples of such a person. Anybody who talks of God, big things, you see, what is his own life and how are the disciples? What sort of people are they? Have they got something more than you have got? Otherwise, why should you go to them? You must use your logic and your brains first and see for yourself that you are going to the right person. You see, because they know that you do not know about these subtle things, they come and exploit you. And I feel ashamed of it as an Indian. But what can we do? They cannot work it out more in India, because Indians have innately know who is who in this respect. They may not know politics, economics, but this they know very well. And that's how they are saved. Thank God, I know we do not have money to waste also for these people. Who has got 3,000, 6,000 pounds to waste to fly in the air in India? No one has. So we must understand that we should try to find out what sort of people these are and what kind of life they are leading. It is writ large on their faces. Their insincerity is writ large on their faces. If you are sensitive like Russians, you will find it out. So all these yogas are created for money orientation, but the main thing is the yoga means the union with the divine. That is what we have to have. These were all steps suggested in those days, but now is a jet age. And I think Kundalini also has become like a jet. And whatever you may be, you will get your realization. Yesterday we had 15,000 people. What was the hall? Yes. And all of them practically, except for, I think, 5-6 people didn't get. Even journalists got it. Even bureaucrats got realization. Can you beat that? In one shot. In one shot. Because poor things, they are so much under tensions that I didn't expect. Because I've lived with them all my life, I know how tense they are. But they all got it. It was remarkable. It's a very good question. I'm happy because I could tell these things to you. I have said this from 1970 about all of them, about Rajneesh, this, that. But you'll be surprised. None of them has filed a suit against me. None of them. But nobody would listen to me when I went to America. They asked me, how many Rolls Royces you have? I mean, imagine the television people. I said, I have no Rolls Royces. Then we are not interested. You are not in the business. Can you imagine such a thing? Very good question, I must say. I thank you for that. Normally I don't talk about these things, but now it has become essential that you should be all warned about it. Yes, sir.
Are psychosomatic diseases related to this system?
What?
Psychosomatic diseases?
Yeah. How is it related, you are saying? All right. Now all right, I'll tell you now. Did you not tell them about the 3 channels? Now, there are 3 channels you can see clearly. One is the blue one, another one is the yellow one, and there's the central path. Now, the left side and right side of sympathetic nervous system is nourished by them, and the center is the parasympathetic nervous system. But this is medical terminology. But in psychological terminology, we can say that the left side one is the psyche. Of course, it's not the psyche of Mr. Freud, because I think he was quite half-baked. He didn't understand it. He didn't understand the totality of human beings, you see, and he has reduced human beings to a sex point. I mean, it's so demeaning the way he has done the whole thing. All right, whatever it is, this is the left side is the psyche, and the right side is the somatic side. Means left side is the power of desire. Beyond this is all the subconscious mind, collective subconscious mind. The right side is the power of action, which acts through our physical and mental activities. Beyond this is the supraconscious, is the future, and also the collective supraconscious. So these are 2 areas. So one is the left, as I showed you, and the right. When these centers are in trouble, see, the psyche is in trouble sometimes is only the right side, the somatic side is. But when both of them break away from the center, then the psychosomatic troubles are caused, which are incurable. So Sahaja Yoga can cure the physical aspect, mental aspect, and also the combination of physical and mental. Is it all right, sir?
Yes, thanks very much.
Mataji, there's an Indian concept that it's only the close absolute guidance of a guru that can lead you to ultimate realization. Is there any truth in that in this modern age?
You see, also all the saints have written as to how to make out a Sadguru is the real guru. It's very clear. It is said that you should not give any money to a guru. Guru has to be above board. A guru is a person who has gravity, who is higher than normal people. But a person who is looking into your purses, how can he be a guru? He is your servant. So the concept of guru is all right, but that doesn't mean any person coming out of the jail and wears those dresses like a guru and says that he's a guru, you should follow him. You must understand that a guru has to have those qualities of purity and holiness. I'm not saying that you could not have gurus, you should have. We have had such great gurus like Guru Nanak we had Ramadasa, we had Ganeshwara, we had so many of them in our country. And also we had them outside, that we think that the primordial masters only incarnated as Abraham, as Moses, later on as also like Lao Tse. All these people are the incarnation of the same Guru. Even last one was the Sainath of Shirdi, not the Satya Sai Baba, but Sainath of Shirdi. He was one of the last gurus. So they were real gurus. They were not interested in your money or in your women and all nonsensical things like that. So that is what they're saying in the Guru Nanak has said, Sadguru Vahi Jo Sahib Mili Hai. To God they call Sahib means God. The one who is the real Guru is the one who makes you meet God. That's the sign. Alright? So concept has to be understood fully. But these days, you see, we Indians are also keeping a guru like a telephone in the house, all of us. Must have some guru somewhere hanging. That's very wrong. You must judge the guru. Otherwise, even if a telephone is not working, why do you want to keep it in the house? All right.
I understand you said that this happening will be a spontaneous thing. Like, is there something that you can do to create an atmosphere to help that happening within us?
It is what?
She said she understands this is a spontaneous occasion when the Kundalini rises, but is there something we can do to create an atmosphere to help that?
Yes, of course. Just now we'll work it out. You all will get your realization, I'm sure, the way you are. After that, you emit peace, you emit spirituality. Because you are such a beautiful person then. I mean, the whole beauty is within yourself. You have not touched your depths. You have not seen that you are full of divinity. When it starts emitting its vibrations, then you change the atmosphere, change people, you change everyone. But first you must get your connection, and then. Alright, so let's have now the process of this thing will take about 10 to 15 minutes at the most. I have already told you. My throat is going. Ask her to give me that sweet. That self-realization cannot be forced on anyone. No. You are respected, your freedom is respected, and you have to ask for it. Otherwise, I cannot force on you. Human beings have been given freedom because ultimately they have to rise to their full freedom. When you are so capable that you can bear your freedom, you can assert your freedom in such a manner that it doesn't hurt anybody's freedom. I'm sorry I've been talking every day, and every night the program used to finish at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So, a little bit my throat is. For this, we have to also understand that we have to take the help of the Mother Earth. And for that we have to take out our shoes. Because also tied up shoes, you see, also are little not so good. Please, just take out your shoes. Keep them on one side. And put both the both the feet apart from each other, because these are two different, absolutely different energies. One is of the power of desire and another is the power of action. I have to tell you that there are two conditions which are very simple. One of them is that you have to forget about the past completely. That means you should have no guilt about anything at all. You should not have any guilt. It's a myth. If you have done any mistakes, please don't judge yourself. You are not to judge anybody else, nor you should judge yourself. Your Kundalini will judge you. Because if you feel guilty, then the center on the left-hand side here catches. Can you show that? Center on the left-hand side catches here very badly, and you get diseases which we call as angina or lethargic organs or spondylitis. It's a very dangerous thing to feel guilty. People may tell you that you are this way, that way. It's all right. But you don't believe them and you just feel that you are a human being. You are not God. And if you have done mistakes, so what? This power, which is all pervading, is the ocean of forgiveness. Is the ocean of forgiveness. And whatever mistakes you might have committed, even in my lecture, if you have found something like that, just don't believe it. Whatever mistakes you have committed, this ocean of love is quite capable of giving you self-realization and forgiving you completely, forgiving you absolutely fully. You'll see that. But if you do not forgive yourself and feel guilty, then the Kundalini won't rise even above this point. I again and again ask you to forgive yourself fully. The second thing is that you have to forgive everyone in general. Logically, you'll understand, whether we forgive or don't forgive, we don't do anything. But if we don't forgive, then we play into wrong hands. Those who have tortured us or troubled us are quite happy. But by not forgiving, we are torturing ourselves, we are troubling ourselves, we are playing into their hands. So there's no logic in it. It's a myth, and we should not play into the hands of a myth and just forgive everyone. I'm surprised yesterday, the people who came to see me, most of them had not forgiven. So they have never felt the cool breeze. All this was catching. I had to go on saying, forgive, forgive, forgive. I had to work very, very hard. But if you just believe me, please forgive everyone. Don't think of them. It's not worth it. Individually. Just say, I forgive everyone in general. Just say that. It will all work out. Please believe me, it's very important. Otherwise it won't cross this center, which is like this, optic chiasma. And it won't open, but when you forgive, it opens. Just forgive everyone. Without even thinking about individuals. When I tell them to forgive, some of them start crying. I say, what is there to cry? It's a good thing. The thing is going off your head. The load is getting out of your head. Just forgive. It's very important, extremely important, to forgive everyone. These are the two conditions which I have told you. So please have full confidence that all of you are going to get your self-realization. You are all capable of getting it. Now don't try to demean yourself and try to say that how is it possible. Have faith. The time has come. You are special people and you all are going to get your self-realization, no doubt about it. So have that self-confidence in yourself. The other day we had a big meeting and two of my family friends, boys who were much younger to me in age, came for my birthday it was. And one of them is a High Court judge and another one is a business tycoon. They said, sister, we know you are doing great work, but we are absolutely hard nuts. We can never get realization, but we have come with the hope. And they were the first to raise their hands that they got their realization. So do not condemn yourself. You don't know yourself. Don't judge yourself. It will all work out. Have full confidence. Now first we'll show you how this process will take place and how you will nourish your Kundalini. How will you nourish your chakras through Kundalini? We'll show you first of all. It's a very small little action by which you yourself will raise your own Kundalini. So first you have to put the left hand towards me. You have to sit very comfortably, not bending, not pushing yourself back, without much tension on the body. Put the left hand towards me. And the right hand is to be used for action. Now when you put this left hand towards me, means this is the power of desire, and you desire to have your realization. That's symbolic. So just put symbolically your left hand towards me and right hand on your heart. Now in the heart resides the spirit. The seat of the spirit is here at the frontal bone. But in the heart resides the spirit. Now you take your hand on the left hand side. We are working only on left hand side. In the upper portion of your abdomen. Or press it. This is the center of your mastery. All the great masters have created this center for you, and when it is awakened, you become the master. You become your own master. I don't have to tell you, don't do this, don't do that. But in the light of the spirit, you know what is right and what is wrong. Now, take down your right hand in the low portion of your abdomen on the left hand side. This is the center of pure knowledge, which manifests after self-realization through your central nervous system, by which you are empowered to give realization to others. It's not mental, but it is that works in the evolutionary process on your central nervous system. Now take your right hand in the upper portion of your abdomen on the left hand side. This is the center, again I have told you, of your mastery. Now you put your right hand on your heart where resides the spirit. Now you take your right hand in the corner of your neck and your shoulder and turn your head to the right. This is the center which I have already told you, when in trouble you get horrible diseases. Now take your right hand on your forehead across and slowly put down your head down. This is the center where you have to forgive everyone in general. Now take back your right hand, please, on the back side of your head, where the optic lobe is, and push back your head as far as possible. This is the center where, without feeling guilty, without counting your mistakes, just for your satisfaction, you will have to ask forgiveness from the all-pervading divine power. Now, last center. Stretch your palm as far as possible. Now please put your right hand, the palm, center of your palm, on top of the fontanelle bone area, which was a soft bone in your childhood. Now press it down. Put down your head. Push back your fingers as far as possible. And now move your scalp with all the pressure. Please push back your fingers, please. And now move your scalp 7 times, slowly, very slowly, 7 times clockwise. Please push back your fingers, otherwise it won't work out. Thank you very much. Now that's all we have to do, which is very simple. You may take out your glasses if you want to, because this might help your eyesight as well. Plus, if there's anything tight on your neck or on your waist, you can make it little loose. Put both your feet apart from each other. I put the left hand towards me, right hand on your heart. Now, please close your eyes and don't open them till I tell you. You don't have to fight with thoughts or anything, just close your eyes and the Kundalini itself will work out everything in you. Now here at the center, you have to ask me a very fundamental question. You can call me Mother or Sri Mataji. Mother, am I the spirit? Ask this question 3 times. Mother, am I the spirit? Please ask this question 3 times in your heart. Now, please know that if you are the spirit, in the light of the spirit, you become your own guide, your own master, your own guru. So now please take your right hand in the upper portion of your abdomen on the left hand side and press it hard and ask another fundamental question. Mother, am I my own master? Ask this question 3 times in your heart. Now, I have already told you that I respect your freedom. So you have to ask for pure knowledge. I cannot force on you. So take your right hand in the lower portion of your abdomen and press it hard. And here you have to say 6 times because this center has got 6 petals. Mother, please give me pure knowledge. Say it 6 times. As soon as you ask for pure knowledge, the Kundalini starts rising. You won't feel her rising. She does it very smoothly. But now you have to nourish your upper centers to open them for this Kundalini rising with your full confidence. Full self-confidence. So now raise your right hand in the upper portion of your abdomen on the left hand side and say with full confidence in yourself 10 times, Mother, I am my own master. Please say this 10 times, Mother, I am my own master. Press it. I have already told you that the fundamental truth about you is that you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are not this ego, you are not these conditionings, but you are the pure spirit. So now raise your right hand on your heart and with full confidence in yourself, please say it 12 times, Mother, I am the pure spirit. Please say it 12 times. Mother, I am the pure spirit. This all-pervading power of divine love is the ocean of knowledge, is the ocean of compassion and bliss. But above all, it is the ocean of forgiveness. And you cannot commit any mistake, believe me, you cannot commit any mistake which cannot be dissolved by this ocean of forgiveness. So now, raise your hand, please, and put it in the corner of your left shoulder and your neck as far back as possible, and turn your head to your right. Here you have to say, again with full confidence, 16 times, Mother, I am not guilty at all. Mother, I am not guilty at all. Say it 16 times. This center is the worst now, I think. You still feel guilty. You are not to feel guilty at all. I assure you, you are not guilty. You are not guilty of anything whatsoever. Now, I have already told you, whether you forgive or don't forgive, you don't do anything. But if you do not forgive, then you play into wrong hands and torture yourself. It is a myth, and you are torturing yourself with a myth. So please, please, again, I request you to forgive everyone, everyone, everyone in general. Don't even think about them whom you have to forgive. So now raise your right hand on top of your forehead, cross, and put down your head as far as possible on it. Let it rest on your hand. Here now you have to say again with full confidence, Mother, I forgive everyone in general. Mother, I forgive everyone in general. It's not important how many times. It's from your heart. You have to say, this is the greatest weapon we have, is to forgive and get out of their troubles. I have told you your Kundalini won't rise if you don't forgive. Now, take your hand on the back side of your head and push back your head as far as possible. Here you have to say, without counting your mistakes, without feeling guilty, just for your satisfaction. O divine power, if I have done anything wrong, please forgive me. Please say it from your heart, not how many times. From your heart you have to say. Just say from your heart. Now, this is the last center. Stretch your palm fully. And put the center of your palm on top of the fontanelle bone area. which was a soft bone in your childhood. Push back your fingers so that there's a good pressure on your scalp, and please put down your head. Here again, I cannot force self-realization on you. You have to ask for it in the glory of your freedom. So please move your scalp slowly 7 times clockwise, saying, Mother, please give me self-realization 7 times. Now please take down your hands and slowly put your hands like this towards me. Now, put the right hand towards me like this, and the left hand, you use it for feeling if there is a cool breeze coming out of your head. There might be a hot breeze coming, maybe warm breeze coming. But you'll feel that there's some sort of a movement of air. Now, please put left hand towards me. Don't touch your head. You have to keep it little above. Now with the right hand, just see. Don't touch your head. Bend your head. Bend your head. Just bend your head. Some people can feel it very far, some very close. So you have to move your hand here and there to see. Now once again with the right hand, and put down your head again. If you have not forgiven, then you'll feel the hot breeze on your left hand. Please see with your left hand. Once more with the left hand, try once more. Bend your head properly. Please bend your head and try with the right hand. Now, put your hands again towards me like this and look at me without thinking. Without thinking, you can do it. Just without thinking. Now, raise both your hands. Raise both your hands and bend backwards. Look upwards and ask a question 3 times. Any one of these questions you can ask. 3 times. Mother, is this the cool breeze of the Holy Ghost? Or, Mother, is this the all-pervading power of divine love? Or, Mother, is this the Parama Chaitanya? Ask any one of these questions 3 times. Push back your head. Now please take down your hands, please. You'll feel very relaxed yourself. Now, all those who have felt the cool breeze in their hands, or hot breeze or warm breeze, or on top of their heads, please raise both your hands. Don't doubt. Don't doubt yourself. See, I told you this Newcastle is a great place. Your Lord Mayor has also felt it. I bow to you all. Now this is a saintly life that has started. You don't have to give up your families. You don't have to do anything of the kind. But now the light of the Spirit will unite all of you together. Thank you very much. May God bless you. In any case, I would like to meet you all one by one if you want to meet me, to say goodbye, because now I'll be leaving Australia for America.